Welcome to today's Explainer. We are diving into something absolutely fascinating today, a real game changer of a technological solution to what is honestly a massive geopolitical and environmental nightmare. We're talking about the messy collision of international trade, millions of tons of municipal waste, and cutting-edge artificial intelligence. Specifically, we're going to unpack the 9.5 Wood Digital Refinery. And let me tell you, this isn't just some minor software update. It's a fundamental shift in how industrial ecology is managed across international borders.
So the big, crucial question we're tackling is this. How do you bypass a high-friction trade war to actually turn chaotic, dirty waste into a premium commodity? Right now, there's just massive tension at the border when it comes to the flow of waste. It's an incredibly high-stakes environment where the strict rules of cross-border commerce meet the downright desperate reality of municipal waste management. Let's take a look at the physical reality of this problem. Just try to picture the sheer, sprawling geographical footprint of these sites. We are dealing with incredibly complex industrial zones that face immense environmental and regulatory burdens every single day. The flow of construction and demolition waste coming out of these areas is frankly chaotic. And trying to manage all of that manually, with old-school clipboards and paper manifests, it creates an absolute nightmare of physical and regulatory friction.
To really put that chaos into perspective, look at this number. 2.7 million. That is the massive tonnage of waste that Ontario exports to Michigan. And what's really alarming here is that this number has grown by 31% recently. You can imagine the intense strain this puts on international relations and border infrastructure. The physical space to actually put this waste is shrinking fast, and the political appetite to accept it, well, that's completely drying up.
But here's where it really hurts the wallet. $60. That's the crippling per-ton provincial landfill tipping fee, specifically the OREG 347 fee that waste operators are just desperately trying to avoid paying. When you multiply $60 by millions of tons, you're looking at an absolutely astronomical financial burden. So the incentive to divert this waste is massive, but doing so across an international border brings its own set of nightmarish challenges.
Which brings us to the massive failure risks for standard exporters. Relying on outdated paper trails in this current climate is kind of like trying to navigate a terrible trip to the DMV, but with millions of dollars on the line. Exporters face incredibly strict rules of origin under the USMCA and CUSMA free trade agreements. Literally, if a single document is missing, or if an origin determination is even slightly incorrect, you risk being completely denied entry at the border. Worse, you can get hit with retroactive back duty assessments and massive regulatory fines.
And the penalties are only getting steeper, folks. That 10% figure, that represents looming Section 122 global tariffs, which is essentially a massive tax penalty. If proper origin compliance isn't digitally proven at the exact port of entry, these tariffs will absolutely crush the profit margins of standard waste hauling businesses. No way around it.
Furthermore, bilateral transboundary agreements, specifically Article 9, add a whole other layer of pain. Trucking unvetted, potentially contaminated waste across the border triggers massive environmental liability. Think about it. What happens if a truck spills? Because of these high liabilities, transport fleets are facing skyrocketing insurance premiums. The old way of doing things, just throwing chaotic waste into a truck and hoping it clears customs with a paper manifest, is totally financially unsustainable.
So, how do we fix this whole shebang? Enter what the source material brilliantly calls the sentient bridge. This is the 9.5 Wood Digital Refinery. It acts as the ultimate technological link between the chaotic, unregulated flow of construction waste on one side and the ultra-strict, high-purity requirements of the global biocarbon market on the other. It's like an elegant digital palate cleanser to all that physical and regulatory chaos we just outlined. And get this, the hardware making this possible is surprisingly accessible. The 9.5 Wood Digital Refinery isn't some massive million-dollar server farm hidden away somewhere. The entire application workflow runs directly on a Google Pixel 10 Pro powered by Android 16. They are literally placing incredible cutting-edge computing power directly into the calloused hands of the yard operators.
Let's walk through how this 9.5 Wood Digital Refinery workflow operates in the dirt and dust of real life. Step 1. The operator simply points their phone's camera at a chaotic pile of waste. Step 2. The AI instantly categorizes the materials. Step 3. It runs a virtual pre-screening for toxicity. And Step 4. Based on the volume and density it sees, it instantly generates a dynamic request for quote, calculating processing costs and estimating the yield of high-purity biocarbon right then and there.
I have to nerd out on the technology for a second because it's incredible.
This utilizes the Google Pixel 10 Pro with Android 16 using LiteRT AI stack features, giving it real-time, offline computer vision. That means zero latency processing directly on the device's tensor processing unit, its dedicated AI brain, even if you're in a remote dirt yard with zero cell service. It executes a 12-stage toxicity characteristic leaching procedure, essentially digitally pre-screening to ensure the wood won't leak toxic chemicals, and performs high-purity wood-grade classification, identifying the exact species, moisture content, and potential contaminants instantly.
But it doesn't stop at just identifying the wood. The application automates the entire verification and compliance process. The system dynamically cross-references the scanned material with specific customs codes, like the HTS-US classification for clean biocarbon feedstocks. By automating this regulatory classification natively, the system guarantees a tariff-exempt status before the truck ever leaves the yard. Talk about peace of mind. When you step back and look at the incentives, risks, and rewards here, a complete structural advantage emerges. Standard exporters relying on legacy systems are trapped, facing missing documents, denied entry, and massive fines. But 905 wood operators, they enjoy a guaranteed tariff-exempt status, automated verification, and absolutely zero border friction. It takes a massive municipal liability and smoothly converts it into a frictionless premium domestic commodity.
And all of this comes together beautifully in the final deliverable. Let's look at the Digital Refinery application workflow UI, UX, output, PDF, documentation features, because they are bulletproof. This isn't just your standard file. It features cryptographically tagged documentation. The system embeds a SHA-256 hash, which is a unique, unforgeable digital fingerprint of the on-device scan directly into the PDF metadata. This creates a 100% tamper-proof, auditable chain of custody and automatically generates a valid CUSMA certificate of origin. If a customs agent asks for proof, the operator just pulls up this exact PDF, completely satisfying all requirements on the spot. This all culminates in a massive strategic advantage. As the source material explicitly points out, by operationalizing the Google Pixel 10 Pro and the LiteRT AI stack, 905 Wood secures Ontario's industrial leadership in the global circular bioeconomy. It completely bypasses all the political noise of border closures and trade pact uncertainty, engineering true economic sovereignty right there in Ontario's backyard.
Which leaves us with this final thought for today. Geopolitical borders may close, and trade policies are always going to fluctuate. But physics and economics, they don't lie. The ability to instantly verify, comply, and transform raw waste into a globally demanded, auditable commodity is absolutely the future. So the question isn't just about managing waste anymore. It's about whether you are ready to command the biocarbon market. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I hope this sparked your curiosity to dive even deeper into the future of industrial ecology.